Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harrison. I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books, and today we're going to be wrapping up October. So we are almost halfway through November now, but basically for 2 and a bit weeks from I think like the 21st of October was the last video I recorded that month. I have been like going through multiple different mild illnesses which have made doing YouTube kind of impossible. But it didn't make reading impossible. So I actually have 6 books to talk to you guys about today. So everything that I read in October. Also, some of these were audio only. So in those cases, I did listen to them. But, you know, like I'll tell you which ones have like heavy audiobook recommendations from me. Let's go through everything that I finished and read, and then we will go through a little bit of news and update about the channel, and then I will talk to you guys about what I'm planning to read in November. So if you are like a monthly only viewer, or like monthly and weekly update viewer only, then this should be fun because this will have some new info for you. So, the first book that I finished in October was Where Darkness Gathers by Philip Chase. I rated this one a 5 out of 5. This one is a sequel that is kind of standalone to, so it's a standalone sequel to the Adan trilogy. Philip wrote my favourite book of 2024, Return to Adan. I felt like it was a huge, like genuine revelation in terms of keeping that vibe of classic fantasy that I really love, but also subverting it and telling a story that I really didn't expect. So Return to Adan was massive for me, and I had been looking forward to While Darkness Gathers ever since reading it, but had decided to save it for Self-Pub September. And while I read the bulk of this book in September, I didn't finish it until October. So this book is really, really good. You do have to have read the Adan trilogy. Well, you don't have to have read it, actually. You could absolutely enjoy this book without reading the Adan trilogy, but your enjoyment of this book will be massively improved by reading the Adan trilogy. So I would highly recommend the Adan trilogy anyway. Book 1 was pretty good, and then books 2 and 3 were really excellent. And then this book I also really enjoyed. I think that it was slightly shorter than the Adan book, so it was quite snappy and fast-paced. I really liked the new characters that we were introduced to in this one. It's set 16 years after the end of Return to Adan, so you get, you know, some characters have moved on, some characters have aged, and some characters have had children, and the children of some of those characters are kind of the main characters in the book. And we get to see kind of how everyone is dealing with the aftermath of the end of Return to Adan. So I'd love Philip to return to these characters again, and give us a sequel to While Darkness Gathers. In fact, what I'd really love, this is my like number one desire for this, is a whole new trilogy with these characters. So we've had this standalone book to establish them, and now give us a new adventure. That would be what I'd love next. And yeah, more books in this world with these characters, or just more books from Philip Chase, I'll be honest with you. After this, the next book I finished was Death Tax by Andrew Givler. So this is in the Deck Collection. Never remember the name for the series. This is the 4th book, I think, in the Deck Collection. It's either 4th or 5th. I've read them all. I think they're all excellent. And this one was a 4 out of 5 for me. In this one, Matthew, the main character, is recruited by Death to serve as a Reaper. And you get to see how Andrew's kind of real skill with world building adapts to the afterlife, which is something that we've kind of not really covered in these books. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one. It gives us a big kind of moment in the series kind of overarching story as well, and some big developments for the characters. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next book in the series. But for me, yeah, this one was great. Really enjoyed it. This one was a pure audio listen because I think the audio narrator is fantastic, and I needed an audio book while I was reading another book that I will talk about later in the video, and this one was fantastic for that. So yeah, really enjoyed it. Moving on to The House of Last Resort, which I have a physical copy of to show and wave in front of the camera. So this is a horror novel by Christopher Golden. Christopher Golden is an author that I read a book from when I was a teen, which was actually a a Buffy tie-in novel, but it was great, loved it, and this is just as good. I really had a good time with this one. It was a 4 out of 5 for me, and spoiler alert, most of the books this month are a 4 out of 5, but yeah, so this one was a 4 out of 5. Basically, an American couple emigrate to Italy into a beautiful, kind of stunning old house that's kind of fallen into disrepair, in a town that's kind of fallen out of favour. So all the young people have moved out of the town as they've grown up, and no new people have moved there. So this kind of lovely little Italian seaside town is slowly dying away. And the mayor has pulled up this idea of going like, let's move in Americans or foreigners and let them have the house for €1 as long as they do the house up. This is actually a really common thing in the UK and Europe. This was a big thing in Liverpool, that you could buy a house for £1, but you had to spend at least £10,000 doing it up, I think, or you had to get it from like basically derelict to beautiful livable house within 1 year. The time frame I think is different here, but it doesn't really matter. The problem with this house is that everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe you bought that house. And basically, there are lots of foreshadowing, lots of hints that there is something wrong with the house and that something wrong happened there. Really, really enjoyed this one. I've not read many horror novels. I've could probably count them on one hand. Like the memorable ones for me are like Carrie, a couple of other King books. In fact, only Stephen King books. So. Yeah, this I have been told by looking at some other Goodreads reviews for this that this has kind of a cliched story. I obviously haven't read much horror, so I can't say whether it does or doesn't, but I really enjoyed it anyway. The one other criticism that a lot of people had that I didn't have was that it had a slower paced start, but I felt like the start being a bit slower paced actually really, really drew me in and really set that foreshadowing really, really high. So I had a great time reading this one, really enjoyed basically everything about it. And it was really nice to just sit down and read a book physically, because I didn't have the audiobook or the ebook for this one, just had the physical. By the way, also thank you to Titan Books for sending this to me like last year. I apologise it's taken me this long to review it. After I finished The House of Last Resort, I went straight into the book that I probably should have started the month with, but didn't, which was Gardens of the Moon by Stephen Erikson. This is the first book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen, which is mine and Matt from Basket and Destroy. It's our new read-along. So every single month we're going to be reading a Malazan book together. And I gave this one a 3 out of 5. So 3 out of 5 is usually maybe I won't continue this series level of review for me, because I've often said in the past that that for me, a 3 out of 5 book, which is good but doesn't really, wow me or make me kind of go like, oh wow, I really enjoyed reading that book, sort of thing. That 3 out of 5 often is like, well, actually, there are so many 4 out of 5, out of 5, out of 5 quality books out there, then why do I want to spend my time on these 3 out of 5s? But I am willing to trust my friends and to trust the Malazan fandom, who have said, yes, this is, a fantastic series. Ironically, I think a lot of the reason why it ended up as a 3 out of 5 as well is because of my expectation. So I had specifically kind of stayed away from in-depth Malazan content. So while I had watched videos that some people, say for example, someone does a top 10 and they're like, oh yeah, Malazan is my favourite series of all time, that sort of thing. I had watched videos like that, but I'd never watched people reviewing individual books, and I had never watched like content of people going like, this is why I love Malazan sort of thing. So the only impression that I had of this series was that it was multiple people who I align with taste-wise. It was their number one fantasy series of all time. And Mare has been reading it and she's been loving it. Sen has been reading it and had been loving it. So I was thinking to myself, like, well, this is it. I'm going to read it and I'm going to love it. And I think that the gap between my expectations and the reality of how I felt about this book was larger than I would expect. And there was a lot... I had quite a few problems with this book. I'm going to record a full review for this later this week, which will go up on Monday the 17th, maybe? I think it might be the 17th. Yeah, because it was the 10th on Monday. Monday the 17th is when you guys will see the full review for this one. It will be very mild spoiler / non-spoiler, but Matt and I are having a full spoiler discussion about this, which will come out at some point in November. So yeah, 3 out of 5 for me. I am continuing the series. Obviously, I am going to do the same thing that we did with Wheel of Time with me and Matt, which is where we commit to at least the first 3 books together, and then see how we feel at the end of book 3. I would imagine I will end up reading the whole thing. I've already bought the first 6 books in these Broken Binding special editions. So it's not like I'm... what's my train of thought? It's not like I'm not committed to this series. And I think this was probably the biggest surprise for me this month, in that, like I said, because the difference between my expectations and reality were quite high. Still got a bit of a cold, so I'm just going to have a sip of my drink. So, yeah, the thing that I have heard also is, talking to my friends who love this series, they have all said, actually, book 1 isn't that great. It's the weakest book in the series. So, my hope is that I will also think book 1 is the weakest book in the series, because there were a lot of elements that I liked, but I think overall, maybe more elements I disliked than... No, about even. Things that I disliked and things that I didn't like. I'm really looking forward to collecting my thoughts properly. I'm going to write some notes, I think, even before I do my review, because I do want to make sure that I'm being clear, and that I don't want to just like come across like I'm trashing this book, because I know a lot of people love this series. But yeah, I've got a lot of problems and a lot of positives. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting review, I think. Tune in on Monday. Next up is a book that I actually DNF'd. And I initially put this book down because I was in a bit of a reading slump, and I was like, I think I just need to take a break from massive chunky books. And that book was It by Stephen King. So I started this book on audio. I read probably the first 200 pages on audio, and then I managed to get this physical copy from the library. And I have been reading that ever since, combined with the audio. And I have to say that this book is really, really, really good. It's very well written. I love the foreshadowing in it. I mean, I think foreshadowing is an essential element of horror for me. And I have not found it to be like too scary for me to enjoy. I've really liked the kind of period setting in the 80s. Obviously, it wasn't period at the time. It was the 80s when it came out. But for me, looking back at that time has been really enjoyable. I was alive in the 80s, but I don't remember it. So interesting time for me. Yeah, it's really well written. The characters are fantastic. The word, the kind of the town of Derry is really good. It really feels like a character of its own in this series, in this book. Even though I was not loving it, I was liking but not loving it. So pushing through that to try and get it finished because I had taken a really long time reading it. I think actually kind of slipped me into a reading slump. I ended up kind of looking at my book every day but not wanting to pick it up. That is. I was kind of looking at it and not really wanting to pick it up. Ending up choosing to, you know, pick up a video game or watch a movie or something. It does also not help that I have not had as much time for reading as usual because we've been mega busy. There's been a few changes at my work, and we're also literally at the final steps of moving house. So say goodbye to this lovely sofa, everyone. We might not be seeing that in videos anymore. But yeah, so everything kind of conspired to me going like, I really don't think I've got the brain for Stephen King's It right now. So I DNF'd it. I intended to just kind of put it to one side and then pick it back up after reading something short and quick. This will be something we'll probably talk more about in... Maybe I should talk more about this in the November wrap-up because I've read a lot of it in... No, actually, I don't think I've read it in November anyway, or maybe only a few pages. But, yeah, so the train of thought, which is gone. Yeah, I DNF'd it and I've put it to one side. I will likely return the library book and then get it back out again when I'm ready for it. Maybe that'll be next October's read. But I basically was looking at how many days I had left in the month, knowing that I wanted to read Strength of the Few, Blackfire Blade, and Deadhouse Gates, and just thought those are like 3 800-page fantasy books, and I already know I can't finish those, so I might as well put down it and come back to it when I feel ready to read it, if that makes sense. So, yeah, great book. And I would probably say, if I was just talking about quality of book, that it was the best book I read this month. But because I didn't finish it, I'm not going to give it Book of the Month, obviously. Book of the Month for this month is going to, drumroll, While Darkness Gathers by Philip Chase. I always get the title wrong for that one. So the only 5 out of 5 book that I read this month. So kind of wins by default. But it was also a fantastic book, and I would be surprised if it does not make my top 10 books of the year. I'll be moving on to, in my current reading, so I have actually started Thingamajig, Strength of the Few. I started that this morning with my morning coffee before sitting down to record this video. I read chapter 1, literally just chapter 1, so you know, nothing crazy. And I've got some other really fun books to talk about at the end of November. But so far, so good. Great month. Apart from the 2 weeks that I spent the majority of my time sleeping because I was ill. So that kind of sucked. But I did, when I was awake, I did actually get a decent amount of reading time in. Whereas when I had the flu over Christmas, my brain just could not concentrate enough to read. And I, in fact, read so little that I didn't do a monthly wrap up that month. Whereas this month I was like, oh, I've actually got 6 books to talk about. So like, kind of makes sense. Channel stuff. So I'm going to give you some very brief channel stats because the video is already 20 minutes long. So views. Last month, despite only putting out 7 videos, which is maybe the lowest ever for me, we got 4,600 views. The majority of my views come from old videos. So it's people finding my old reviews or checking out my device reviews, which is kind of the most popular stuff. Watch hours, 477 watch hours. Normally that's between 550 and 600. So not putting out that much new content did hurt me there. And also last month, I don't think I had a full spoiler discussion with Matt go up on the channel. So that's obviously an hour-long video that didn't go up. So that kind of, that'll show you, you know, that there's a low watch hours often comes from months where I don't get out one of those discussion videos. Subscribers, only 36 last month. That is one of the worst months ever since the channel started. And that is, I would imagine, purely because barely any new content was going up. So hopefully, I think it's already better than that for November, or like trending better than that. I haven't got 36 already, but like it's trending better than that. I really want to put a renewed focus on the channel, especially with Malazan stuff. Because it's a big brand new series which will bring a lot of people into the channel. So yeah, really hope that everyone is enjoying the stuff that I'm putting out, especially the Malazan content. Again, especially if you're new coming in for Malazan. Hopefully if you haven't subscribed, please do, because it genuinely helps the channel a lot, mostly by stroking my ego. Revenue for last month. So revenue has been down the last few months. So I used to earn around £30 a month from the channel in views. One of the big things that's changed is that the e-readers that I had reviewed on the channel are no longer the most popular, the most recent e-readers in their particular families. So the Books Go Colour 7 and the Books Palmer. The Books Palmer has now been replaced by the Palmer Pro very recently, and the Go Colour 7, I think there's been a new version. So now they're not the modern devices. They are getting very, very, very few. Sorry, I just got a notification from Kindle that the new series, the new book in the Unravelling by Elle McInerney is out. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that one. Have to read Overlord first, obviously. Anyway, complete tangent. So yeah, used to get like around £30 a month, but now it's kind of hovering between 20 and 25, which doesn't sound like a massive drop, but it's like, you know, like a sixth at least, maybe a third. And yeah, as I was saying, it's mostly because the device reviews that tend to have brought in the most revenue are now not performing very well. I'm probably not going to be buying any new e-readers in the near future. I have been looking at the Remarkable mini pad thing to do notes and such for work, but I don't know how well that'll do in terms of a review as a reading device, because it is mostly a notation device. We will see. I don't know whether I'll be buying some stuff for work in the coming months. I will let you guys know if I do. The best video for last month in terms of performance was my weekly recap for the 17th of October, which is the last weekly recap that I actually did in October because of how everything all lined up. The reason I believe that did well was because Malazan was in the title of the video, and also probably people who were wanting to see them, the weekly recaps every week were like, where is this? What's happening? So that's probably it. I'd love I would imagine that the November best video is gonna be the Gardens of the Moon review. I'll be surprised if it's not, but there we go. Anyway, thank you so much everyone for watching. I think that's everything we were going to cover. Like I said, I'm currently reading Strength of the Few, literally one chapter in, so can't give you any impressions, but the chapter that I read was fun, and got straight into the part of the plot that I wanted to get straight into, so that's exciting. Also, that's it. That's everything. I don't know why I keep saying also and carrying on the video. It should have ended already. Thanks so much for watching. Like this video to tell YouTube you liked it and to show it to other people. Comment on it down below with your favourite book you read in October, or if you've read any of these books and you have differing opinions or the same opinions. Please reinforce my points of view, because that's how I like it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Be shocked if you've got 25 minutes in and you haven't done that, but c'est la vie. And thanks for watching. I will speak to you on Friday. Goodbye.